Welcome in former Deputy Assistant Secretary of State in the Obama administration and also congressional candidate, Joel Rubin. Joel, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks, Natasha. It's great to be with you.
So, Joel, you worked in the Obama administration. If you were still in the administration, how would you begin to fix the humanitarian crisis at the southern border?
Yeah, it's great that you're highlighting that in particular, because this is a crisis for tens of thousands of people who are fleeing unrest in their countries. Unrest clearly in Mexico's was just described. But in the Obama administration, we also faced a similar surge of unaccompanied minors coming from the Northern Triangle countries in Central America and Honduras and Salvador and Guatemala, where there was violence and gang warfare and despair. And the people came north. And so this takes an integrated response. It means that the United States, we need to be working with our allies in these countries, with these governments, to try to both reduce the flow out and the reason for why people want to leave, as well as of course, have border security. There's not one single magic bullet. This requires a very integrated, coordinated response, diplomatic response, economic assistance, and the like. So very, very similar in many ways to what we're seeing now. It's what we saw in the Obama administration as well.
And we are in this moment in time. It seems like the problems are just continuing to balloon for the Biden administration. We are seeing migrants crossing the border on top of trains. That video alarming a lot of people. Record numbers of families with children apprehended at the border. I mean, are the optics looking very bad for the president, Joel?
Yeah, I mean, without a doubt, this is very difficult optics. One can't sugarcoat it. To see people streaming across the border in an open area as such it is really jarring. But that doesn't mean that there aren't responses that can be had, that we don't have border guards. We do, and that we don't have the ability to take in people, process them, as well as give temporary protective status, as was just announced this week. One thing I do think is worth mentioning, and this was just discussed as well, which is that this potential government shutdown could harm all of those efforts, could make it much harder to take care of the border, take care of the situation with people crossing illegally, and then finding a way to manage that process as well.
Yeah, and Jorge Ventura was just talking about Mexico's president wanting to meet with President Biden in Washington. Do you support that? Do you think that President Biden should make it happen?
Oh, without a doubt. We should be having high-level, consistent engagement with Mexican leaders, with leaders in Central America as well. These are the key allies in dealing with this issue. If we don't have the Mexican government working alongside us in coordination, we're never going to resolve this problem. So without a doubt, it may be hard conversations. We're not going to likely see President Biden and Mexico's leaders seeing eye to eye on every issue, without a doubt. But there is no way to resolve this unilaterally with just the United States somehow building up infrastructure to prevent people from coming over. That is a failed policy. That won't work. This needs diplomacy and engagement.
Okay, Joel Rubin, I appreciate your time tonight. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, Natasha.